Broads Media.
Oh, this is going to be so damn fun. Let's just get to it real quickly. If you're new to the channel, smash the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button as well. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the crazy, wild support. If you're looking to buy tickets to go to any NBA, NHL game, you can use promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page for $20 off of your purchase. I'm dangling a $20 bill in front of your face. Take it from me. Eliminate all those fees from the jump. It works for NFL games too, of course. Just the Eagles aren't going to have a home game, but if you live in a different area, $20 off. SeatGeek promo code BROADS. No brainer. Get yourself to a game. TikTok, Broads Media. Hit the follow button there as well. With that being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Sunday, 1 o'clock in Tampa Bay. That's what the Eagles drew, and here we are. I'm a little surprised with the timing of it. You would just think Tom Brady, the revenge from 2017 versus the Philadelphia Eagles, such a large market that maybe it would be at a sexier time and it would pop more at an 8 o'clock or something along those lines. I'm okay with it for what it is. It almost tells me that the people who made this decision thinks that it's going to go a certain way, and maybe it's not as close as we would like here in Philly, and that's why it's put on that time. It's not an awful time. It's your accustomed football time, and that's okay. It could be a lot worse. I didn't want a Saturday effort, so give me Sunday anytime. Here we are, and let's go. Could you have gotten the Rams? Sure. Would I have liked the Rams? Sure. But you got Tom Brady, and let's just have at it. I was playing this card the entire way through. We play it as the ball lies. It's how golf works. Wherever the ball lies, I know I use my foot wedge. I know I give it a couple kicks when it's in the rough and I don't like where it's at and I try and get a good lie. Unfortunately, you can't do that in this situation. And here we go. There's no one else I'd rather want to see. How about that? Now that we're here, it's easy to say there's no one else I'd rather see than Tom fucking Brady, and let's get into his head. Do I have some fear about Jonathan Gannon? No doubt about it, because of what we've seen throughout this season when he sees quarterbacks that he's afraid of. And if you're willing to give him the dinks and the dunks through the field, good luck. You're going to get annihilated. He's going to take it. Whether they're missing players and players are unavailable, or Antonio Brown is stripping and losing his damn mind on all sorts of podcasts and giving himself, I don't know if anybody saw this, and I couldn't bear to listen to many moments here. I saw a few clips on TikTok, if I'm going to just tell you where I saw it. And yeah, I'm addicted to TikTok. I scroll nonstop. I think we all do, so don't shame me whatsoever. He gave himself a moment of silence. Let's give Antonio Brown a moment of silence. And then he gave himself it. This guy's losing his damn mind. This guy has no idea what he's doing. But I digress. The reality of the situation is, it doesn't matter for Tom. I've watched him do it with guys that got plucked off the damn streets, that never played football, lacrosse player, bada bing, bada boom, let's go win. This guy's ridiculous. So I know Mike Evans seems to always get banged up, and you saw that happen during Week 18, and he's on the sidelines, but then he comes back and makes a major catch, and Gronkowski's always going to be one of his favorite targets, and he'll have probably an explosive day because you're going to have to pick and choose your poison here. I'm just telling you that you can talk about, well, maybe they're injured and that will help them out. Tom Brady, Jonathan Gannon's defensive philosophy, Jonathan Gannon's defensive philosophy, Jonathan Gannon's defensive philosophy. It definitely scares me, and we'll find out what JG is all about. He has switched things up. This entire team is definitely different from when they saw each other early on. There's no doubt about it. They have this new life, this new identity. And I love Nick Sirianni's tone. And look, it's only Monday, so right now we're riding that emotional high. We'll probably have a very similar conversation on Friday when it's a football Friday, when we're anticipating that matchup and getting all fired up and excited for what it is later on in the week, whether it's Friday or Saturday. Just that raw, let's go, baby. Right now we're in that I guess right now would be the raw let's go, baby. When we get to that, it's more of the, okay, here we are. What are our final thoughts as we allow the full week to digest and we study the pros and the cons of this matchup? I do love Nick Sirianni's tone, though, and this isn't a big deal. even though it is, it's not a big deal. This is just a normal game. It's a regular game. We have a new type of identity here. And we've put a lot into the results, and we put a lot into our journey here. Let's just continue to build off of the mold that we have set since really turning this thing around. If we stay true to Eagles football, when we win in the trenches, we dominate with that offensive line, we run the football and create all sorts of gaps and holes, and we have great blocking downfield, that could work. And all I'm asking for is, look, I'm not expecting a huge win. All I'm saying is I feel the Eagles can stay competitive. And if they are competitive in this game, because no team in the NFC, even the best team in the NFC, which is the Green Bay Packers, no team in the NFC is 1,000 billion bajillion miles ahead of everybody else. Every team is beatable. So with that, if the Eagles can stay in the game, in the National Football League, it takes one drive. It takes one set of plays. Hell, sometimes it takes one play. So if they're in it and they're battling and they're working hard in the trenches and they're putting together some nice drives, well, there'll be some flaws. There's no way that you can head into this thinking that they're going to, just be perfect. No, there's probably going to be upsetting drives defensively. There probably will be a 5-minute drive, 6-minute drive of Tom Brady moving downfield methodically, just throwing the ball underneath forever and ever and ever. What I think they need to do is they got to put pressure on Tom Brady, and he's the greatest to ever do it. I'm sure he'll pick that apart too, and he'll realize that he's seeing some things, and he'll find a way to, hey, blitz is coming on this side, bang, pick it apart, and there goes a nice 20, 30, 40-yard gain because you tried to bring the pressure. Here's what I'll say about Jonathan Gannon's approach. As long as he's willing to try some new creative things that wasn't necessarily there and active early on, if it gets beat, I can acknowledge that something was different. For example, if I see more man-to-man and less soft-ass shell, soft-ass zone getting annihilated in that department, and they play more man and they get creative, they show disguises, they bring a blitz, maybe Singleton shoots up the middle, or I've seen Vontae Maddox at one point kind of get shot towards the quarterback as well. So if they do that and it doesn't work, I won't rip Jonathan Gannon because I know the alternative, which is what we've been screaming at and pulling our hair out. I know that's been disastrous forever, so please, no more of that. It's not going to be easy. It's pick your poison style, and sometimes it'll get shredded. As long as I can at least appreciate the mindset and the mentality of the approach, well, then that's a different type of ballgame because this team is clearly the underdog for a reason. They're going in there as over a touchdown underdog. Over a touchdown underdog. And I wonder, do teams look at the Eagles, regardless of what Tom Brady says in a press conference, do people look at the Eagles and say, damn, that's a matchup I don't want? The San Francisco 49ers and the Cowboys, that's the easy answer. Everyone's already analyzing that. I'd flip to SVP as soon as that wild Sunday night football game ended, and that's all you heard. Oh, that's a bad matchup. What are you going to do with those players? You got no idea what you're doing with some of those players out there. They're just ridiculous, throwing touchdowns. It doesn't make any sense what Deebo Samuel is. What position is Deebo Samuel? I have no idea. They're on this drive where they don't throw the football once. You know at some point a play action's coming. Oh, no. It's not just a typical play action. It's let's toss it to Deebo Samuel, who pretends to run to the right side and then throws a damn touchdown into the back of the end zone. It's wild. And the Cowboys, the fact that they needed week 18 to try and get better because they didn't like their mojo, if it's taking till week 18, guess what, Dallas Cowboys? You ain't as good as you think you are. Now, I'll go back to my original statement, which is no one in the NFC is 1,000 miles away from anybody else. So, therefore, if the Cowboys do have a game where they're clicking, yeah, they could probably do some damage and win themselves a damn football game. No doubt about it. I don't have trust that the San Francisco 49ers are some lethal team all of a sudden. It's going to be a tough matchup, don't get me wrong, but any team could beat any team in the NFC because of how wide open it is. So with that said, when teams look at the Eagles, they look at that as like, hey, that's the draw we wanted. All right. And maybe that's not necessarily just because the Eagles are a walkover, but because maybe the 49ers just have a little bit more punch in what they can do. But don't get me wrong, you can't downplay the Eagles' run game because in reality, it's lethal. They were putting up historic numbers. Nick Sirianni, though, said he's hopeful that they'll get back Miles Sanders. And then, of course, Jordan Howard, who had the stinger a couple weeks ago, when he did play in his last game, he wasn't as explosive. There wasn't as much punch. There wasn't as much power. He looked a step slower. So we'll just see. And that's why you rest your players in Week 18 and you don't play them. See, I don't even understand why Green Bay thought it would be a good idea to play Aaron Rodgers. What are you doing? What was that for, really? Is it because they had a bye? Because they're the number 1 seed? So if they had a bye technically in Week 18 for Aaron, and then again, now it's 2 weeks off, but you're telling me those 18 throwing attempts, I think you went 14 for 18. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure that's the numbers that were laid out there. And if it wasn't, it was very similar to that. What does that get you? Is that the difference in Aaron Rodgers going to win a championship? I don't understand when you weigh out the cons compared to the pros, how you think the pros outweigh the cons, because it just doesn't whatsoever at all. So you're going up against Todd Bowles, which is going to be something for Devontae Smith, for Jalen Hurts that I'm looking forward to. And just next year, the growing process. This was all about, let's see what this new coaching staff and this new quarterback is all about, right? Like, who are they? Well, if they fall on their face and they lose and this and that, it doesn't mean it's a disaster. It doesn't mean that it's terrible. And we might have that reaction. If it's ugly and it's a bad loss, I'm sure that, and look, there's a difference between analyzing what happened, speaking about what went wrong, criticizing what went wrong, and then hey, this was an insane failure and it was absolutely pathetic what went down. Game planning all week. And I love the fact that I heard the coaching staff talk about how with Week 18, they've already started there. And I'm not acting as if the Eagles are the only one to do this, right? It's not as if, well, the Eagles are getting ahead of everybody else. No, a lot of teams are doing this. But I just crack up that the Cowboys were so damn focused on the Philadelphia Eagles third stringers, who, by the way, their offensive line, their third string offensive line still did some damage. While the Eagles are going, we don't give a damn about you. We don't care. And for some people, because I was on the Fanatic Sunday afternoon, noon to 4. And the reaction was, I'm embarrassed. There's no way you can allow the Cowboys, your hated rival, to come into town and whoop your ass. It sucks. It's pathetic. And my point is, don't allow your hatred for the Cowboys to take over for your love of the Eagles. Yes, we despise the Cowboys. Focus on yourself, though. Focus on the Eagles. Focus on what's more important, which is getting as healthy as possible with Jalen Hurts' ankle, with other guys. Get them as healthy as possible for a playoff game. Don't allow the, quote, bully to dictate the way that you live your life. All right, that's the way I see it. As if the Cowboys are the bully. No, they're not. They're not a bully because they don't win enough to be the bully. But you get my point. Don't allow others to dictate the way you're going to handle business. All right, we got some anytime hotline calls. I got a bunch of reactions just for the excitement of like, hey, we're in the playoffs. This is who we're going to see. So I'm looking forward to that. I just want to run down a couple of my notes here to see what we got. Staying on the East Coast is very important compared to flying out west, I thought. I did want the Rams because Matthew Stafford is more susceptible to probably having a little bit of some hiccups, but staying in the East is big. Richard Rodgers being the third tight end over Tyree Jackson, and I've been holding this coffee for about 5 minutes now speaking because I want to take a sip so bad, but I'm just in flow and in rhythm. So I'm going to take a pause right here. I'm going to take a sip, and I swear I'll get back to that point. Much needed sip of Joe. Richard Rodgers, and I'm not expecting a big row, obviously. You got Stoll as your 2. You got Goddard as your 1. All I'm saying is whenever you need to call on this guy, he's there. If you remember last year, and I even went through his game log because I'm laughing about even speaking about Richard Rodgers, but there were times he got you some yards. He got you a couple receptions. He got you 50-something yards or so. When he gets his number called, it's like, what, Richard Rodgers still hanging around, still being there for you? So I'm just saying, if it ever, unfortunately, gets to a desperate time where you're utilizing your third tight end more than you would like, it seemed like Richard Rodgers is just there for you, and he's Mr. Good Old Reliable. It really is that way. There is stuff I want to touch on before the Anytime Hotline. What a crazy day of football. That Sunday night football game? What? Justin Herbert, 4th downs, nonstop, completing those passes when he needed to on 4th. Coming to 4th and 21, 4th and long, 4th and long, 4th and long. This guy is absurd. And then you get to the point where Staley calls the timeout, and now you're seeing the reaction from some of these guys on the field about would they have just ran it out and let it tie so the Pittsburgh Steelers wouldn't get in, and it would be both of those two teams getting in. And selfishly, I was rooting for that to happen because it would have just been hilarious. I have no dog in the fight. I don't give a damn about the AFC, and I don't want to see Big Ben, to be honest with you. If you told me I get Derek Carr and Justin Herbert, or I get Derek Carr and Big Ben, and I love Mike Tomlin. See, I'm a Mike Tomlin defender. I think Steelers fans are dopes and morons who's ready to run him out of town, and all good things come to an end, don't get me wrong. And maybe you are starting to play with that line of Mike Tomlin a little bit, but I don't want to see Big Ben. Big Ben stinks. Big Ben absolutely blows. I want nothing to do with this guy in the playoffs. I'd rather see Herbert, but it's just wild to see how that ending happened. And the fact that it even went to overtime, it was like it was a movie, and it was scripted. Well, if the Steelers, the only thing they don't need, if that would have ended in a tie, that would have been hysterical. That would have been unbelievable. I don't blame the Raiders, though, for doing what they did. You want to go out there and, respect the game for what it is. But that last sequence, if they did kneel it there, I'm talking more about the knee bowl. People wanted it to be the knee bowl, where it's nonstop kneeling and kneeling and kneeling and kneeling. Come on. That would never have happened. Towards the end there, though, if they didn't get that first down, if the timeout was gone, I'm just fascinated to see how it would have played out. There's two sides to this. There's some that are saying it's obvious that the timeout changed everything, and then you hear some of the players, Derek Carr in the interview, make that type of statement. Then there's others going, would it have? Would it have? I mean, if you really study the situation, would it have? They would have probably tried to kick it anyway, this and that. Or look, reality is, though, how it played out, and it was an incredible game. What else is incredible is watching Joe Judge on 3rd and 9 run a QB sneak. What is this guy doing? Gettleman retires. Yeah, Joe Judge. Apparently, Josina Anderson's reporting he's going to stay put in New York as they bring in a new general manager. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This guy's a clown. What? 3rd and 9 QB sneak on your own 4. This guy's a joke. He's a loser. He's a loser. And in the beginning of the year when he was brought in, oh, this guy's tough as nails. This guy's an old school head coach. People are going to love that. He's going to be sitting on the sidelines making people run in practice. You're going to be doing up downs. This is great. No, it's fucking pathetic. It's 2022 now. That style of coaching, it don't fly. When he speaks, he's doing one thing. He's trying to convince the owner what's going on. He's trying to convince the owner that he's good. Once you start having to convince people, you're not good at your craft. And one thing I heard from the Michael Kay show, it was Don LaGreca, and I think a perfect point. And he was talking about how he studied communication to like a deeper level, right? And once you tell a lie that nobody can actually prove is right or wrong, you're in desperation mode. For example, a bunch of players of mine would call me saying that they would love to come back and play for me. Nobody's going to be able to pick up the phone and call every player ever who played for Joe Judge to see if that's true. But that's a lie. It ain't real. That didn't happen. So once you start spewing the garbage out, you're toast. So the Giants are a disaster. The Dolphins are a disaster, too. How about that? You end up firing Flores? What an embarrassment. Sure, they didn't make the postseason, but if you look at their journey and what they went through and how they ended the season compared to where they started, he's the least of your worries. Now, if there's a conversation to be had about the quarterback and what direction you should go in that department, well, I don't think the answer is this. This is called sloppiness. And by the way, look how much sloppiness is around the league. Chicago's firing Matt Nagy. Minnesota's heading in a different direction. Kirk Cousins is in there as well with that whole dialogue. Look how other teams are being operated. Tie that to the Philadelphia Eagles, who did some work with the Indianapolis Colts, if you remember, in the offseason with Carson Wentz. Chris Ballard's always on the list to people. Well, who's better than Howie? Well, it's easy. You got Loomis, you got this, you got that, you got the Rip. You go through the whole list of Rams, Saints, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Fine. And the Colts are always thrown in there. Ballard. Well, Ballard trades for Carson Wentz, who fucking absolutely sucked, couldn't beat a 2-win football team to get into the playoffs instead. Fumble, sack, interception, and the audacity to someone on Twitter who reached out to me and said, I know nothing about Carson Wentz and how good he was this year because look at his touchdowns to interceptions. I'm sorry, this team, the Indianapolis Colts, was all about they're a quarterback away. They have the team constructed. They're a quarterback away. And you get worse when you bring in Carson Wentz. Now, I defended Carson Wentz like no other because what he did in 2017 was something great, and then he did something in 2019. There were so many injuries involved, the knee, the back, getting back to form after that, coming back too soon. Then he rallied the troops in 2019. But I'll be honest with you, now that you watch him from a distance and you watch him with the binoculars, it's clear as day that everything that everyone pointed out who hated him, there's reality to that, and I thought that at times people emphasized it too much and put too much on it, and I still believe that. He's not a horrendous, absolute worst quarterback ever. He's somewhat in that middle of the pack tier with his highs being super high and his arm strength being unbelievable and the highlight package reel being something that splashes more than most. But the lows are just god-awful, pathetic, and you know, you could go back to the leadership qualities and things of that nature and rallying the troops, and that was terrible. That's one of those games where that gets people fired, that loss. You go into Jacksonville, you have to beat the Jags to win a playoff spot, and that's what you end up doing. You collapse and you fall on your face. So you trade for Carson Wentz, you take that type of money on with the contract, and the team that you did it to with all the dead money hit is making the postseason, and you're not. I saw the perfect tweet. This goes on Chris Ballard and Frank Reich just as much as Carson Wentz. And I think that there's validity to that as well. And I'm not telling you Ballard's a bad GM because I don't think he is. My point is all the good GMs in this league and the ones that are looked at as the uppers, they make mistakes. They have bad decisions. They sometimes put their teams in a tough position, but their full body of work speaks to bigger volume here where I don't think Ballard stinks now all of a sudden. It's just putting it in perspective on the reaction to Howie Roseman, which is, sure, bad decisions happen, but all around, from the full body of work from all of these GMs, from all of these teams, the Eagles are in the same conversation when you look at their franchise as there's teams that are a little bit higher, but they're in that same realm of Pittsburgh, of Green Bay, and then, of course, Tom Brady. When you look at what they've done for so long, they are an upper in this league. They are a team and a franchise that is looked at and is viewed as an organization that is successful and know what they're doing compared to the rest of the garbage that's around there on a Monday after the season's over, and you start to see the slop that is. So that is reality of the situation. All right, with that, let me tell you about DeSimone Jewelers. My Jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from them, and it was amazing. Beautiful. Such a great piece. And they work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They used to be in Jewelers Row. Now they're family-owned, located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They were always family-owned, but they were previously in Jewelers Row. Now they're located in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they are the best. You walk in there, you are part of the DeSimone family, and you feel a connection with not only who you're working with, but with the diamond that you're purchasing, with the selection that you're walking out the door with for your significant other. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs. I had so many people go in there and reach out to me saying, Broads, this was the greatest place I've ever been to. And I go, thank you so much. That means a lot to me that you listened to me and you went there and you got something that really put a big smile on your face and the person you were gifting it to's face. But I told you, this place is A+. It's right on the money. So if you go to their website, DeSimoneJewelers.com, you check out what they can provide. Or if you go in store in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and you tell them that Broad sent you, they will hook you up. I had a buddy go to a different place, ended up returning his original item that he bought, took a hit on that too because he didn't get his full money back, went to DeSimone Jewelers and still got hooked up so much where it was worth it. And trust me, that doesn't happen often in this business. DeSimoneJewelers.com. Check them out down below in the description. All right, with that, let's rock some Anytime Hotline calls. Let's hear the pulse of the fans after we found out the news. It's just Monday. Let's have some fun with it. Am I betting that they're going to win money line? No, I don't feel that way, but I don't think it's impossible for them to be competitive and stay into this and make it a dogfight. And with that, that's where I'm kind of at on this Monday. So here we go. Anytime Hotline.
What's up, bros? I know we're going to be huge underdogs going into this game against Tampa. right? And we should be, right? Tom Brady on the road. It's going to be tough. And what I expect from this game, I honestly had no expectations. I don't know what to expect from our young quarterback or our rookie head coach. This is the first experience for them, and Tampa's all banged up, so I could see it going either way. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won. To me, I wouldn't be a betting man and put money on it, but I think it's possible. Jalen Hurts is going to have to be great for them to win. I don't know that they're going to be able to run the ball consistently like they normally do because Tampa's run defense is just so good. And they've run on a few good run defenses, but this is going to be a tough test. I think Jalen Hurts is going to make a few of those wow, insane, eye-popping plays, and they're going to fight till the end, whether they win or lose. It's going to be close, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts is a fighter. This team is a bunch of fighters. I don't really have a prediction, but I think it could go either way.
Yeah, look, sign me up. Sign me up for what you just laid out there. And I think there's validity to this, right? If you're Tampa Bay, let's put the Eagles, the shoe on the other foot, if you will. If the Eagles are playing a team that's ran the way the Eagles are, what is your number one motive when you think about the game plan? Stop the run. Make them uncomfortable and force Jalen Hurts to throw the football. So what they're going to do is try and take that away as much as possible. Now, there's been teams that have tried that over the last handful of weeks. Granted, none of them have been very special, but the New Orleans Saints were no joke, and they are no joke, and they are lethal in that department, and they had no business being out there on the same field as them on that given Sunday. So, if it is one of those nights where the Eagles can do the same thing against the Bucs that they did against the Saints, it doesn't matter what they try and do because the Eagles are executing on all ends. Now, it matters, I believe, if Miles Sanders is out there compared to, your Boston Scotts or Kenneth Gainwells. You need Sanders. You need Sanders. You need Howard. You need that punch. They just bring a different level of an element here. They bring a different type of force. They bring a different tier, a different type of speed. So I do believe that that's obviously what the Buccaneers are going to attempt to do. Todd Bowles is a very smart man. He's a very smart defensive coordinator. So he's been around the block, and he knows, and he's seen teams that have had good run games. But with Jalen Hurts' ability to be so unique and creative with his legs as well, it just opens up the door for a whole new type of lifestyle where he puts it in the gut of a running back. You make your decision, and Jalen Hurts reacts off that and powers with his own thought process in that moment and finds a way to gain 15 yards, runs out of bounds, keep the chains moving, and it just kind of keeps happening. We'll see. I'm fascinated to see how he throws the football because there are going to be times where he is taking some snaps in shotgun, hopefully some under center as well, and he has to scan the field. And if he could be comfortable in the pocket and read his progressions the way that he did against the Washington football team during that last game that he played, that would put a big smile on my face. Now, if I'm being honest, I probably expect some sort of jitteriness, some sort of knowing the pressure of this game in the pocket. That's not where he's most comfortable. So when he knows it's a bigger moment, it's the playoffs, and I got it. Jalen Hurts is cool as possible, and he seems to be as chilled as humanly possible, and nothing phases him. Steady hand mentality. But in reality, when you're not perfect in an area and you start to feel that, let's say they go down and they start out slow because that's part of their brand and they're down 10-0, it's the second quarter. They're in the pocket and they know that they got to get some points up on the board, right? What does he look like in the pocket? Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for him to look comfortable, and I'm not saying it's impossible for it to look the same way that it did against Washington. We've seen him take steps and progressions. I don't expect it to look like the Giants game where he was throwing bad throws, but if I'm going to be honest, we know that's not where he perfects his game. So if we're going to analyze what he brings, do I expect some ugly looking throws? Probably, and that's okay as long as it doesn't result in turnovers. It might be a miss behind Devontae Smith or a throw that goes out of bounds that needed to be more towards the sidelines to give Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert an opportunity to toe tap or something along those lines. But we'll see. I'm not trying to sound negative here. I'm right there with you. I'm just saying, what are my expectations? I'm not going in there with the biggest in the world. As you alluded to, I have no idea what Nick Sirianni's like preparing for a playoff game. I have no idea what Jalen Hurts is like for a playoff game in the National Football League. I expect some ugly moments, but I expect some really good moments as well, and then we'll see what the full body of work is like. But I'm excited. I'm really intrigued to see where this team puts us at in an emotional state because we're in this spot where we never thought we would be. And I'm pleasantly surprised, and I have confidence that they understand what they're doing at this point from an offensive standpoint, maybe not necessarily defensively. And that might be what we highlight at the end of this. We could be on a Sunday afternoon post-game podcast reaction just freaking out on JG, to be honest. What's next?
Okay, Broods, you asked for our thoughts leading up to the matchup against Tampa Bay. My thoughts are very simple. I thought in the first round, the one team we had to avoid was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a couple reasons. Number one, they have the greatest to ever do it at the quarterback position, and against our defense, I expect it to be easy pitch and catch. Number two, they do not allow you to run the football. And if the Eagles can't run the football, the Eagles cannot win. When Matthew Stafford threw that interception, I think the Eagles seasoned on that play. I think the game is going to be over by halftime. I expect the Bucs to roll the Eagles next week with ease.
Oh, come on, Sean. And you might be right where it's not super close or whatnot, but don't give me that on Monday. Come on, have a little bit of emotion towards the positivity. It's not outrageous. See, normally I feel there are plenty of times where Eagles fans convince themselves that they can win a game that they realistically can't. On this specific week, while I do think it's tough to say they will win, if I told you, can they be competitive in this game without getting blown out, I feel that's realistic. That's not overboard. That's not extreme. That's not pathetic. That's not convincing yourself something crazy. Can they stay in it and stay competitive? Sure. And if you do that in the National Football League, you're not as far off in winning the game, because there's a lot of times you can just look at one sequence here and there in these close games, and that's the difference. So it might come down to one or two plays. And yeah, I'm with you. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting Tom Brady makes that play over the Philadelphia Eagles. But I can't rule out the Eagles' success running the football, because nobody seemed to stop it. When the offensive line wins the way that they do, and they're going to have a tough matchup, it won't be easy. But with Kelsey, Lane Johnson, who hasn't had any sort of issues blocking his side this year, with Jason Kelsey running up the field faster than Miles Sanders, Jordan Mailata, with these guys and the way these cats have been playing up front, if it starts there, if they win their battle, which is possible, it's not outrageous to think that opens up the door for this run game to succeed. And I'm not discrediting your thoughts. It is true. They're a better team. There's a reason why it's the spread that it is. It's a reason why the underdog is as big as it is right now with the Eagles. I don't think it's as simple as to write it off as maybe you are, though, Sean. Come on now. Let's take one more.
What's up, bros? Just calling to give a little insight on what's going on here with the Buccaneers and the playoffs. I think this is a good matchup for us, honestly. I mean, we tend to have Brady's number. Leonard Fournette's injured for them. They lost Antonio Brown. Mike Evans is not 100%. Devin White's hurt on the defensive side. Levante David also. So they're banged up, and we rested everybody, and we got the number one rushing attack in the NFL. So I think that this is going to be a good game, and I think we got a chance to go make a Super Bowl run.
Okay, well, that's where we're going to cross the line. All right, I think we got two extremes there. I didn't like Sean's approach, and then I didn't like the latest caller's approach there. We're taking it to the extreme of like, hey, now we're going on a nice little run. It would be beautiful to win one football game in the playoffs and just have that type of connection and that type of feel and that type of energy rush. That would be amazing. Is there some serious talks about how hurt they are? No doubt. I think that it's real, too. It's not fake. They are hurt. And Mike Evans doesn't seem to ever really be 100%. And you got Darius Slay out there, but that's only one guy that's going to be able to help stop what happens with the other. Is it because I'll end on this real quickly. I heard, come on, brain fart, Athletic. Zach Berman of The Athletic on the John Kincaid Show this morning. And when you think about Darius Slay, Mike Evans, okay, what's going to happen with the tight end? It's like Gronk might have his day and Mike Evans doesn't. And if one guy has his day, is that enough to beat you? If you go in with that process of one guy has their day, as long as both don't have an unbelievable effort, it's that type of mental process for the defense. Does that work? I mean, maybe not. It depends on how big of a day that one person has. If it's 98 yards on a couple of receptions, I think you could live with one player having 98 yards. If it's one of those 142 yards for Mike Evans, no. And I don't anticipate that being the case. I'm just obviously using that as more of a hypothetical and a broad thought. But with that being said, we're going to shut things down here. We'll obviously continue the Eagles conversation throughout the week. Thank you guys all so much for hanging out, and I will see you next time.